Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Mike Francesa podcast, part of the Bet Rivers Network. We come to you on this mid-August, almost late August, Monday. We have a preseason week under our belt, although I have to admit we sure didn't learn much. But we'll begin with the anemic Yankees, who found a way yesterday, thankfully, getting a long ball after blowing the lead without giving up a hit, without the benefit of a hit because of the error in the wild pitch. It looked like the Yankees maybe were going to fall again, considering it when you look at their extra inning record this year. But instead, Rice jacked one, fought off his pretty big slump, and the Yankees get a win. So here we are with 38 games to play. And the Yankees 6 back in the loss column. The odds on them winning the division get slimmer all the time. I analyzed the schedule the rest of the way. The Yankees have 12 series to play. They will play 9 of them against teams that are in the hunt for the postseason. The 3 teams that aren't are the Angels, the Rockies, and the Mets. Although the Mets series, the Mets are going to do everything they can to try to upend the Yankees. So that series will be played with a passion that will be like somebody competing. The only 2 teams that are really going to be out of it in terms of the competition would be the Angels and the Rockies. The Yankees will play 23 of their 38 games at home. Usually an advantage for them. These days, not so much, because it's an advantage when the Yankees are taking the ball out of the ballpark, which they are not doing at any real rate now. So that's been their advantage. The Yankee Stadium numbers are not great. It is not a great hitter's park for average. It is a great hitter's park for home runs. So when you hit home runs, it is to your advantage, especially utilizing, whether they're right-handed or left-handed, the friendly confines of right field. The Yanks will play Baltimore, and then they will come home on the road, and then they will come home for a huge 10-game homestand. Toronto, the Astros, and then 4 with the Red Sox. Now, right now, you have a tremendous probability that the Yankees and Red Sox will play in the first round. I mean, it'll be hard for that not to happen when you look at where the standings are right now. Neither one's going to probably catch Tampa. They have big leads in the wild card. Boston's is 5, the Yankees is 8 over what is one of the craziest things you've ever seen. Baltimore right now is the 3rd team, followed by Texas a half game out, Toronto a game out, Detroit a game out, Minnesota and Cleveland a game and a half out, and Seattle 2.5 games out. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 teams within 2 games for that last wild card spot. That last wild card spot's actually an advantageous spot this year compared to the Yankees squaring off with the Red Sox, because what the scary part there is, if the Yankees don't get their big boppers back, now they're going to get Bellinger back, but he wasn't a big bopper this year anyway. I don't know if you're going to see Stanton. You haven't heard a word. And the Judge information, let's be honest, was not positive. It was extremely vague. It was almost contradictory. And it was anything but positive. Talking about him maybe coming back by September 15th does not leave you much time for him to get to round into any kind of shape to play in the postseason against quality pitching, which he's always struggled against anyway in the postseason. Now, so you look at it and say they might have to go it without the big boppers, not counting Bellinger. And they're going to need some guys to really step up, let's be honest. And they're going to face good pitching. No matter whom they play, they're going to face good pitching for the most part. I mean, it could happen that a team gets in that doesn't have great starting pitching, but that's going to be the Yankee strength. The Yankees are going to have to rely on, obviously, a bullpen, because the starters, if they give you 6 strong, they've given you what they have, especially in an emotional big time game where they're starting from inning 1, pounding away with the best stuff they have. So they're pretty much 6 inning pitchers in those games. 7's inning right now a top achievement. So you're gonna be in that bullpen, and you're gonna be asking a lot of it, and you're gonna be playing tight games, and you can play to a defense that has been improved. I mean, the left side with McMahon and Lombard is exceptional. And let's be honest, they're gonna play McMahon in the postseason. They're gonna play that glove. You know he's gonna play when a lefty pitches, and he's gonna play because his bat, for the most part, has not been anemic for the last 100, at bats. It's been somewhat acceptable. Not great, but not like it was early in the season when he was an automatic out. He and Wells are no longer automatic outs. They're not great, but they're no longer automatic outs. So that's at least a little bit of a positive. But that 10-game homestand is gonna be very telling. Toronto, Astros, 4 with the Red Sox. Red Sox come in the 28th. They have a doubleheader on the 29th, day night, and then they play on the 30th of August. Then the Yankees go west to play an Angel team that's terrible and a Padres team that has gotten hot. The Yankees are off on Labor Day. I'm not gonna even waste my breath. You know my thoughts on that. Baseball just is absolutely clueless when they don't set up, not only have everybody play on their 3 big holidays, but set up premium matchups on their big holidays. I mean, and you have the New York Yankees off on Labor Day. I mean, it's mindless. It's absolutely mindless. But I've yelled about that for so long, I give up because baseball just doesn't acknowledge it. Then the Yankees will play Mets, and they'll play the Mets on 9/11, and this is obviously gonna be a very emotional 9/11 because it's the 25th anniversary. It's Yankees Mets by no coincidence on 9/11, to start a 3-game series. Then they go to the Twins in Arizona and come home and finish with the Rays and the Orioles, and the Orioles are right in it. They are absolutely right in it. There's no question about it. They are right in it every step of the way, and, you know, we'll see what happens, but this Yankee team is gonna struggle to score runs unless unless things get better in a big way, which means Bellinger comes back and Judge comes back, and like I said, I haven't heard word one, not word one uh, about Stanton and what's gonna happen with him. Um, you can talk about juggling the order, which they did yesterday. You can talk about somebody else batting first, even though Grisham won Player of the Week last week because he had such an outrageous week after doing nothing. They got guys in outrageous slumps. Hey, I don't think this team can afford to just bury Jazz. I've never been his fan. You know that. But the way this team is constructed, they need his power and speed. And they have to hope he can get hot because his bat, when it gets hot, especially at that stadium, is a big threat. If you want to get Garcia in the lineup, you do it without taking Jazz out of the lineup. You have to give Jazz a chance to play. Whether he's here next year or not is not the issue right now. The issue right now is you need that bat right now and the hope that he and Rice get going. Now, the question is the Yankees brought in guys and put them in positions where they did not have the ability to play everybody. They don't have the ability, and if guys come back, they really don't have the ability to play somebody. They're gonna have to make some very, very hard decisions. Now you can say they'll play the hot hand. Hey, the only things you know about this team is Rice is going to be in the lineup every day, and he's not gonna be catching. So he's gonna be either at first base or he's gonna be at DH. Okay, you can against a lefty put Goldie at first. You can against a righty play Garcia at first and play Rice at DH. You can do that, but remember, this is going to be, hey, show me what you have. That's what it's going to be. These are going to be auditions over these last 38 games to prove that you have what it takes to be part of that postseason roster, especially if Judge, I'm not going to give you Stanton, if Judge and Bellinger, which are expected to be in the lineup, maybe Judge isn't. I'm sure Bellinger will be. I'm sure Bellinger will be in left field. We'll see who's in center field. I think it has to be Grisham. I don't think you can bury Grisham on this team. I just don't think you can. He gets too many big hits. Okay, he's been through it before. I think you have to give him a chance to play. And then you have to make the decisions that you have to make. And you got a lot of guys who are candidates who have not distinguished themselves where they're pulling away. I know you want to get Rosario in the lineup once in a while. You can do that. But McMahon's going to be the guy most of the time. You got Lombard. I don't want to put the pressure of batting Lombard in the leadoff spot. I do not want to do that. Plus, he has not shown you in any way that he's a leadoff hitter. Yankees don't have a leadoff hitter. We know that. Look at their on-base percentages. They do not have a leadoff hitter. This lineup, any way you cut it, is going to be anemic unless Bellinger comes back hot, unless Jazz gets red hot, unless Rice finds himself. And, of course, if Judge comes back and is even close to being himself. Can the Yankees win without Judge? Not impossible. Because you know what? So much of this comes down to pitching. It not only comes down to pitching, it comes down to the ability to get the big hit. And let's be honest, this Yankee team has shown you time and time and time and time again, it does not know how to get the big hit. Their big hits are few and far between. They do come back in from behind and win games. But their big hits are few and far between. They leave a million guys in scoring position. They don't do the job in so many ways. They have so many poor at-bats, and they have so many vacant innings now that it's almost unbelievable. Watching them the last month, I can't remember a time where a Yankee team. I mean, we've had some bad Yankee teams through the years that I've seen. You have to go back a long way for it, but this team is incredibly anemic. I mean, you got a lot of bad hitters in this lineup. You have very few guys that you can count on day in and day out. Even Bellinger had a very spotty season. Very spotty season. So there are givens, obviously. If Judge is available, he's playing. If Bellinger is available, he's playing. Rice is playing. You know who's going to be at third. You know who most of the time. You know who's going to be at short every day. You know who's going to be catching most of the time. I do not vacate Jazz from his position. Jazz from his position. I leave him alone. The idea of pulling him out of there, hurting yourself defensively, even though he's prone to the bonehead play. Okay, I'm not doing that. And I don't think you can do this the way it's set up right now and just forget him. If you turn him into a part-time guy or a guy who's got to fight to get back in the lineup, he will be awful to deal with. We all know that. We all know what he thinks of himself. And this is a guy who talks about hitting 50 home runs before the season started. Okay, we all know where his head is. You got to give him a chance to get out of this. And you don't know. Nobody knows what he's going to do. That guy can hit 6 homers in a week, or he can go for 32. I mean, we all know what kind of player he is. He's an impossible player to calculate, but he does have ability. He does have power and speed, and they need that. They need that element right now. Basically, you're asking guys to prove themselves. I mean, that's how I would play it with Boone, especially until Bellinger and Judge show you that they're back. I would make it, except for the guys that you have to count on, a meritocracy. I'm playing the guys who are hitting. Case closed. Show me that you need to be in the lineup. If you're in the lineup one day and you do real well, I'm going to reward you and put you back in the lineup the next day. If you're in an offer, I'm not playing you. Nobody's guaranteed, but there's guys here you have to count. I mean, you have to count on Rice. You have to count on guys here. There's certain guys you have to count on. There's no way around it. There's nothing left. And they stockpiled bats that were having good seasons, but they play positions where they already had players and where they already had issues. Yankees brought in a DH first base. It's Slash. Do you think they needed another Slash DH first baseman? I mean, come on. It's the last thing they needed. They needed help in certain areas. They didn't get it. We know that. Do I think they'll catch Tampa? I do not. Do I think this is going to be a bumpy ride in the playoffs? I do. But the one thing, they have terrific starting pitching if it shows up and does the job. You have 3 guys who all can go out there and throw a 6 or 7 inning shutout for you in the postseason. There are not a lot of teams. There might not be any teams that have 3 guys that can do that. They do. Have 3 guys who are capable of that on their best day. So, that doesn't mean they're gonna do it, but they're capable of doing it on their best day. Um, a word on Tommy John. Tommy John passes. Obviously, I saw Tommy John for his entire career. I mean, Tommy John was the quintessential crafty lefty. He's a guy who won 288 games, who is better known for a procedure that he had. Obviously, for an operation that has revolutionized the pitching position. It was done to him. It was highly experimental at the time, and it has become, like I said, part and parcel of the pitching trade. He is better known for that than he was as a pitcher. He was a borderline Hall of Famer based on not dominance. Tommy John was I don't wanna call him a compiler. I don't wanna do that. He was better than that. He was a very, very, very good pitcher along the line of I don't wanna compare him. He wasn't like Andy. Andy's different. He's a little bit more like Jimmy Key. Um, but this guy won a lot of games. I think he lost 220, so he pitched a lot. He pitched for the Dodgers, pitched for the Yankees, uh, did some was a very you never worried when Tommy John was going to the mound for your team. And when you pitch in the major leagues long enough to win that many games, you've had a hell of a career. And he had a hell of a career. And he had a hell of a baseball life. And obviously, his what happened to him and the procedure that now bears his name keeps him in baseball in terms of uh, recognition and in terms of just hearing his name forever. But this is the guy. I know he sent a letter from a hospice that was sad a couple of weeks ago. on Old Timers Day. So Tommy John passes, and again, our prayers and thoughts to his family on the passing of a renowned baseball player. Um, the Judge thing, I don't want to make too much of it, but I did not take it as a positive. I really didn't. Um, it wasn't so much that they tried to backtrack from the information. It was almost to the point where Boone wasn't comfortable with the information. And I didn't take it as a positive. And, it's funny. I had this conversation when I was in special surgery, when I had my knee done in late April. Um, we were talking about Judge, and we were talking about these rib injuries, and they were explaining to me, a couple of the doctors and a couple of the rehab people, we were having a conversation, and they were saying it's maybe the hardest thing for us to really get a handle on, because there are so many different things to deal with in that area. There are things that they told me that don't even show up on tests, that you don't know that they're healed or not healed, that they don't even show up on tests. That makes that area extremely difficult for an athlete of this level to know exactly when he's healed or not. You've seen how long, and I had mentioned this years ago because one of the rehab guys who was renowned, who I had worked with for many years, and he's a guy that many, he ran teams in the NFL, and Parcells used him, Dick Vermeil used him. I mean, Rob Penarello. He had told me years ago that the calf was extremely tricky and very hard to heal, and I have learned that, and so you've seen that illustrated time and time again. You're like, why is a calf such a big deal? It is very hard for them to heal calf injuries and to get a handle on calf injuries. And they've told me that rib is even more difficult because of what they cannot see, and that everything is not available even to them on testing, which again makes this kind of tricky. He's clearly had the injury before. He's going to push through. He's going to try to play. Does anybody have any doubt that even if he didn't get 5 games in the regular season, he's going to try and play in the postseason? He's going to. He's going to try and play the hero here. Why not? He's a great player. He's a generational player. He's going to come back and try, but with a big guy like that, an athlete of that size, not having any real time to prepare and to get himself back to a certain level of keenness, is asking a tremendous amount, really an unbelievable amount. I just think he's very much, I'd say Stanton is doubtful, and I'd say Judge is 50-50 now. Bellinger, I think he'll be back. I don't think there's any question. But Judge, I wouldn't give you better than 50-50, and Stanton, I give you a lot less than that. And you're not even hearing anything about him. Um, I wanted to come out and say a lot about, I watched the preseason games, and I wanted to zero in on especially the 2 rookies who had gotten so much attention, namely Bailey and Reese. And unfortunately, in Bailey's case, it's almost unfair. Um, the expectations were ratcheted up so high that I think people thought he was going to come out and on the first play, he's going to sack the quarterback. I mean, he had a very quiet first game. He also did not play that many plays. I think you have to just be patient here. And I think the expectations and the advanced billing for him has almost been unfair because they have built him up so much. They did it last year with Carter and he bombed. Now, we can know that he had a lot of hurries last year and he did certain things, but let's be honest, for what we thought we were going to get, he didn't do the job in year one. A lot will be expected this year. You've heard superb things about Reese. You've heard ultra, ultra special things about Bailey. You have to wait and give these guys a good month of the regular season. That's the only thing that's fair before you make any. I saw people criticizing Bailey already. I mean, that's just not fair. Let him. Don't use the preseason to judge these guys. And I know I watched the comments from the coach. Great effort. Well, does anybody think these guys aren't going to give an effort? Number one. Number two, I didn't think the Giants played well. I thought down the stretch. Now, you know, they scored a touchdown. They put up a couple of points. Luckily, the quarterback wasn't hurt. I just think he got the wind knocked out of him on that play. Uh, hey, they missed a block. I mean, that's the bottom line. I thought Fields played well, but again, let's not go overboard. People were going overboard about Beckham. Oh, he got wide open. He was against zero coverage. You know what? I mean, that was all there is to it. Um, I don't know what's going to happen with Beckham. I don't think Beckham's anywhere near more than 50-50 to make the team. And I know I'm an anti-Beckham guy. Always have been. I don't trust him. I don't trust him not to wreck teams. I don't trust him. Don't care for him. Don't trust him. He was great when he came to the Giants. I know he's a fan favorite. The fans got excited by him the other day. This team is going to be a running team. As I've told you on countless occasions, it is going to be a tight end driven team. The leading receiver is going to be, I think, a tight end. I think it's going to be likely. I think he's going to be the leading receiver. I hope that's not the case, and I hope Davis comes back healthy. Don't know about that either yet. I think the Giants might not even carry as many wide receivers as most teams do because of the way they play. Remember, they're going to play with a fullback. They're going to play with two tights. There is not going to be a great deal of work for the backup wide receivers in this offense. I really believe that. I worry. I think the offense is going to do the things that it needs to do. I think the quarterback is a highly productive quarterback. I think he has a superb pocket presence. I think he knows how to score touchdowns. Some quarterbacks do. I think he knows how to score with his legs and his arm. He knows how to buy time. He knows how to move. He knows how to score in the red zone. He knows how to score touchdowns. I think that's his strength. I think he'll have some growing pains in the offense, no question, but I think he knows how to score touchdowns, and I exceedingly like his poise in the pocket. But this is going to be a run-first team without any question, a run-first, a run-second, a field position team, a team that will count on field position, use the running game, use the special teams. I don't think they're going to play wide open that much. I think that will help the defense. I worry about the defense. We'll do more on the defense in the future. But listen, this defense, Burns, Reese, Carter, they have a lot of talent. But the Giants have to prove that they can just line up and stop the run. And they got to be a lot better in the secondary, a lot better. The defense has to improve a lot. It's been a bad defense. As for the Jets, now I'm hearing this morning that something's up with Hall. He's got an injury. Might be a groin. I don't know the extent of the injury yet, but they didn't mention that until today. But I gather this something's up with him. I don't know if it affects the first couple games of the season or not yet, but something's up with Hall. He's got some kind of injury. I gather it's some kind of groin injury, from what I understand so far. Um, Gino not playing. I don't make a big deal about anything that happened. I wasn't overly impressed with anything I saw. I wasn't overly impressed by anything I saw from the Giants. And for a Harbaugh team, they were sloppy late. I mean, all the penalties in the end zone. I thought they got a rough call on the first uh, pass interference on third down. I thought it was an awful call. I gather that guy's a understudy official. I thought that call was ridiculous. But the second one was pass interference on third down. The first one I thought was an awful call. Um, They called back the third down conversion that would have set them up to tie the game or maybe win the game in the final minutes if that see, what matters to Harbaugh. Harbaugh is a lot like Parcells. He wants to win preseason games. Look at his record. Parcells always tried to win preseason games. If they were keeping score, he was trying to win. I don't care if the milkman was out there, he was still trying to win. He wanted the W. And that's why, if you look at his record, it was always very good. Some coaches don't care. Marv Levy, if I remember right, Jimmy Johnson, the Cowboys usually they didn't care about preseason. Some teams just don't care, but others do. Harbaugh does. Parcells does. Always did. But I would not jump on Bailey because you didn't see anything and you were expecting so much. I wouldn't, Reese, you can see that this is going to be a very, very solid player right from the get go. You can see it. He's going to make them much better against the run. I don't think there's any question about that. They need that in a big way. They need that. So I would expect solid things from them, but I'm not going overboard about anybody yet. And like I said, give these youngsters who are in the lineup from day one, give them a month and then get a real look at them. You'll know right away. You'll know within a month whether these guys are going to be major contributors this year or not. If they get into have a slow start the first 1 or 2 weeks, you'll know by the first month. If it doesn't happen in the first month, probably won't happen in the first year. Now, let me get a couple of emails in here before we bid you to. Remember, Thursday, September 3rd, and it's coming up. We'll be at Bar A. We'll have more on that in the podcast to come. It's free to come on in. There's also VIP tickets that you can win. There's also VIP tickets that you can buy from Bar A that gets you food and drink and all that stuff. And so you can do that, or you can just come in for free. We're going to be giving away prizes. We got all kinds of stuff. We'll have gas for that. So I'm looking forward to going down to Lake Como, going back to the Jersey Shore. I haven't been back there in a long time. Looking forward to going back to Bar A. Always love my times there, and looking forward to going back on September 3rd, Thursday of Labor Day weekend. Remember, Labor Day is late this year. It's September 7th. So Thursday, September 3rd, the last blast of summer at Bar A down on the Jersey Shore in beautiful Lake Como. Let me get a couple of emails in, and then we will bid you adieu. All right. Here we go. Okay. Seth, is there a better than 50% chance that Aaron Glenn lasts the full season? First of all, I don't think Woody wants to fire him. Personally, I think there's a fondness there. He's also got a big contract. So I would give him a break. I think they need to get off to a good start, meaning they can't open the season up with loss after loss after loss, and all of a sudden people are down on everything. They're down on Gino, they're down on the coaching staff, they're down same old Jet. If you hear same old Jets in the first month of the season, that is not a good sign for Aaron Glenn. The staff has a capable coach on the staff and Frank Reich. Uh, so I think I'll go 60-40. He stays. What keeps him here? Competitiveness. It doesn't have to turn into wins right away, but they have to win some games. This team can't go, oh, for whatever, 6, 7, and then expect to have a season, expect to have a fan base. They need to give these fans something that they can hold on to early. They know that Gino is a quarterback in waiting. They know they have the ability to get a big quarterback in what is a deep quarterback draft. They have multiple picks. They also could be picking high where they don't have to go a mile to get a good quarterback. There are multiple quarterbacks in this draft. A lot of people will tell you right now there's maybe as many as 5 first-round quarterbacks right now, and that always changes based on performance, goes both ways, up and down. Um, but there's some very, very prominent young quarterbacks in this draft. Uh, so we know that's something the Jet fans are thinking about, but they don't want this season to be just another one of these disasters where there's nothing even to think about. Now, they will be a better offensive team without because of Reich, because of Gino. Gino throws touchdown passes. He also throws multiple interceptions, but he will score. I have no doubt this is not Fields. He will get the ball. And if you noticed, Fields came out and looked good for Kansas City. It's a different world when you're getting coached by Andy Reid. Um, Colin, which NFL team will have the biggest turnaround this season? Now, I'm going to, by the way you wrote your question, I think you mean from bad to good. That's how I'm going to take it, not from good to bad. I'm going to take it from bad to good. Uh, in 21 of the last 23 years, a team has gone from last place to first place in the division in the NFL. Now, sometimes last to first is separated by a game or two, as you know. Some of these divisions are very, very tight, so it's not a very big thing, but it does happen a lot, and it happens a lot in the NFL. Um, I have 2 candidates, but the team that I think is going to go from a poor record and reverse it is the Bengals. I think the Bengals were 6-11 last year. I know they were 6-11. They're going to be the one that turns it around the most. The second choice would have been the Saints. I'm not as high on the Chiefs as everybody else is. I'm not here believing the Chiefs are going to win 11 games. First of all, I don't know how if Mahomes is going to be ready for the season. I still have my doubts. I don't know that. I don't know anything. Everything that's come out has been positive. I just am skeptical. Um, I think that would be Cincinnati would be the answer. Paul, what happens with Thoroughbred Racing's Triple Crown? Well, as you know, there is a new series that is going to be 6 races that is going to replace not replace the Preakness is not part of it. So the Triple Crown as we know it is over. And that's the essence of your answer. The Triple Crown as we know it is over. They have moved the Preakness, but it's outside the package that has been put together by Kentucky and New York. So you will have the Derby, then you will have a second race, then you will have the Belmont, then you will have the Jim Dandy and the Travers at Saratoga, and then you will finish it up with a race in Kentucky. So in essence, there will be 6 races, and the horse that does the best in the 6 will get a $5 million bonus. I do not see any horse in any way racing in all 6. But if you're in 4 out of 6 or even 5 out of 6, I don't think anybody will. The Matwin Stakes will be one of them. I'm not sure what the next one will be. I think it's going to be Belmont. It's going to be Derby, Matwin Stakes, Belmont, and then Dandy, Travers, and then another race to be named at that they'll formulate at Churchill Downs. There'll be 6 races for 3-year-olds. It's a new series, and the Preakness is outside looking in. So the Triple Crown, as we know it, is over. But let me tell you this, folks. Today, Bill Mott, Hall of Fame trainer, legendary trainer, did not take a legitimate Triple Crown threat in Sovereignty, who was a tremendous 3-year-old last year, just won the Whitney last week in bouncing back. He had a couple of tough races, and then he came back with a huge effort in the Whitney and won that. I was there for that. When he did not take Sovereignty to the Preakness, the Triple Crown, as you knew it, was over. This was a legitimate Triple Crown horse, and you had a Hall of Fame trainer who said, I am not doing this to my racehorse. I'm going to wait, give him the proper rest, and run him in the Belmont. He won the Belmont easy. He won the Derby. He won the Belmont easy. He proved himself to be a sensational horse. He won the Travers last year by 10 lengths. On top of that, he was a sensational animal. He was a Triple Crown horse, I believe. And that was the end of it. It was finally officially over. With that trainer and that horse, that was the end. That was the end. And now it's completely over. Is it a sad thing? It is. It's a sad thing because part of the law of sports is having continuity of measuring horses against past performances. You want to measure somebody against what Secretariat did. But the problem is, just like has happened in so many sports, just like has happened in football, where the game now is a game when you look at the rules, when you look at the safety precautions and everything that's put in, it's not the same game that was played in the 50s and the 60s. Baseball is not the same game that was played in the 50s and the 60s. Basketball is not the same game that was played in the 50s and the 60s. Horse racing is not the same game that was played in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s. Woody Stevens ran horses twice in a week. He ran a horse on Monday and brought him back the next Saturday and won. They don't race horses that way anymore. These guys believe in cycling horses. Everything is to build up towards the third off a layoff. That is supposed to be the optimum performance of the cycle. But more than that, they believe when you're dealing with top horses, they believe in giving them anywhere from 5 to 8 weeks off in between starts. Some guys believe a minimum of 5. Some guys want 8 weeks between their performances, thinking it takes that for the horse to regenerate, to be brought back up to a peak performance. That's not the way it's been done in the Triple Crown. You had to win 3 races on 3 different tracks. In essence, over 5 weeks. 2 weeks to the Preakness, 3 weeks to the Belmont, 3 tracks, 3 races, 5 weeks. They won't do that anymore. They won't do that to the animal anymore. And that's why it has changed. Am I sad that it's changed? Yes. Would I have liked to see this stay the same? Yes, I also knew that it wasn't possible because trainers don't train their horses that way anymore. So you're asking them to do something they don't believe in and they don't think is safe for the animal, and they won't do it. And unfortunately, that's the end. Plus, Maryland racing is a complete mess. Not that Saratoga doesn't have its own issues, because it does. As great as and Saratoga is one of the best sports venues in the world. You know my thoughts on Saratoga. But a lot of things they've done at Saratoga in the last 4 or 5 years, I don't like. Be the first to admit it. They've cheapened the product and they've cheapened the track, all chasing the almighty buck, unfortunately. But hey, we know that's done everywhere. Hey, look at baseball with what they've done with this streaming. How dare the Yankees put their post game on a different app? You're asking people out there to have yes and then turn around and buy Gotham Sports. I mean, it's not fair. And then one night they're on Prime, the next night they're on Apple, the next night they're on this, the next night they're on that. It's not fair. It's not fair to the fans. It's absolutely slapping the fans in the face. A lot of people don't have the money to do that. Some of us do, and we still feel taken by what they're doing. We might buy it, but we feel taken. I'm like, wait a second. I got to buy a separate. The other night, I was looking at this and I said, I have to have a separate app to watch the post game. That's just wrong. I mean, I have yes, and that's not good enough. I have to now have Gotham Sports, and then there's talk of them leaving Gotham Sports for another outfit who I won't name right now, but there's a lot of. I mean, that might even be done already. It's wrong. But these leagues, all they care about, the commissioner is there to generate income and protect the brand. That's all he's there to do. He is an owner, basically an owner employee, and he's there to protect the brand, as Goodell would say, protect the shield, and then create as much revenue as possible. You don't create the revenue, you are not going to stay as commissioner. That's all there is to it. And the greed, why do you think the Lakers just got sold for $12 billion? The Lakers, $12 billion. Two more questions. Anthony, what do you think of Spencer Jones? I like some of the things I've lately seen from Spencer Jones, but still, his approach at the plate, including his stance, leaves him with holes that he cannot fix. I think he has to make adjustments in that approach. Now, are there times when they make a mistake and leave a ball over the plate and he hits it over the left field fence or hits it off the left field wall? Yes. But there are also way too many times when he gets beat up and in with the fastball because of how he is at the plate. He is better in the field than I thought he was. He's a better athlete in terms of how he runs than I thought he was. He still has some mighty holes despite his power. He's a big man and he takes a big swing, but he has some real holes in that swing, real big holes that I don't think are fixable. Um, but you know what? He's interesting. I admit that. He might be fixable. Sean, are Rodgers and the Steelers serious Super Bowl contenders? No, they are not. They are borderline playoff team. They are not Super Bowl contenders. We'll see you later.